Hi, I'm Jennifer McKendree, the Marketing Manager at Youth for Understanding, and I've been here since September 10th, 2001. My second day on the job was September 11th, 2001, 9/11. When I got there, it started like any other day for so many people. I got there and I sat at my desk and I read my binders. And I remember 15, 20 minutes later, someone yelled out, "You have to come see this." And like so many people, I went up to the television and I stood there. I stood there with my coworkers and I watched the world change. We didn't know what would happen with YFU at that very moment. We just knew that the world had changed right before our eyes. The next week, I flew to Des Moines, Iowa. My trainer was out there, and I went with her to a few classrooms. And I think at that time, it was only a week later, everyone was still trying to digest what had gone on and really figure out what was going on nationally, internationally, and personally. The next week, I went to do my first high school presentation. I remember this very vividly. I was in a big quad classroom. There were probably 120 students in the quad. They had all the walls removed, and I stood in the very middle of that room. And I showed my presentation. I had that down to a T. I showed the video that we used to play at every presentation. And the first question of my first presentation was, "Look what just happened. We were attacked. Why would I go overseas?" And I still see that young man. And I looked at him and I said, "You go overseas as an exchange student so that you get to know others and others get to know you, and really so that this never happens again." And that moment is so burned into my memory still. And that question came up for the rest of the 5 or 6 months that I was out doing presentations that season. Every single high school, every single time, and that was the answer that I gave. I was 23 when I started at YFU. I was in a Master's of Social Work program. And people after 9/11, especially people of my generation, they chose to go into the armed forces. They chose to become police officers or firemen, or they chose to do service work. Myself, I finished up my semester with my master's, and I decided that this was going to be my service to the world. I was going to work for YFU, and I was going to spread the message of the organization, because what else can have such a huge impact on the world? This work is important to me because every day I have an impact, not just on my community, not just on my country, but in this position, I have a global impact. I'm recruiting students to come from Ghana to the US. I'm helping students from the US go to Germany, go to South Africa. What other career can you do that and do it on a daily basis?